I realized I never really closed last episode. And that's kind of the point. You start things and then life happens. Anyway, seems like I'm making this podcast like how to make a podcast or maybe how not to make it. Since if I remember, I started this journey back in 2016. For some reason, I wanted to start making a podcast. I don't know, maybe listening too much Joe Rogan or whatnot. Or I just like to talk with friends. I actually started to have some friends, some episodes that they were like 2 to 3 hours with a couple of friends, not too bad. Um, and then recently I was talking to a friend of mine and he was telling me that he found that a podcast with no, like a random podcast with no fixed topic. He said that it's not interesting. For example, he would listen to a podcast that is about martial arts or is about technology or about engineering because he find that interesting. But like a random topic that about me and my friends talking about life, he said that that's boring. Anyway, until today, I'm sure my friend he has not listened to my podcast, not even one episode. But well, uh, who knows? Who knows who listen or not? You cannot blame them. But anyway, this is just a space where I think out loud, and I'm not a life guru or anything. Just talk about things, family and I guess martial arts and engineering and maybe fatherhood. That's what I'm dealing right now. Being an expat as well. I used to say that, but I don't feel like a expat anymore. Um, but yeah, just recently, a few days ago, I started to listen to a podcast, Joe Rogan, and he's talking with Michael J. White. He's a martial art artist. I saw a couple of movies from him. I can't say he's my favorite actor. Some people like him a lot because he has a mean face and he's strong and I mean he can punch, I guess. Interestingly, he also trained some Kyokushin, if I'm not mistaken, for a while. I haven't finished the podcast. Maybe he mentioned it there, but it's pretty cool. I mean, a lot of the things that he mentions about martial arts, like what martial art teaches you, like discipline and humility and dealing with discomfort and respect and give you some identity. All of these things are true. And the thing about repetitions that you need to do 1 and 2 and 3 times and 10,000 times the same thing in order to be better. But I guess it's not for everyone. Martial arts is not for everyone. But I can tell you a little bit about my experience with martial arts. This is for you, Juan Carlos. I started back in, I think, 1994. I think I was watching too much Power Rangers, too much X-Men. And you were in those days that sometimes you don't know what to do. Like you have a lot of free time after school, you're on holidays, you don't know what to do. But then I remember looking at the Power Rangers. There were these guys always at, I think they were in high school or college, I don't know. But sometimes when they meet, they always meet at like a dojo in school, and they were having like a black belt or whatever. I don't remember, but they were wearing a martial arts uniform, and somehow it looked so cool. Just fast forward, I found the Kyokushin dojo near my house, not too far from my house actually, and then I joined. That was 1994. Sorry, so has been over 30 years of me training. Sometimes I train more, sometimes I train less. Life happens. But I would say when I was putting a lot of effort during my 20s, I would say I was pretty good. I was maybe not the best. Maybe I should put more effort and get proper nutrition and whatnot. Maybe I would be even better. But that was fun. I met a lot of friends. Everything was about karate. Like the whole day was revolving about it. Like after school, I was just going to karate. Like I was not even doing homeworks. It's like for me, it was waking up, going to school, and after school, going to karate, coming home, eat, sleep, and the next day was the same. So we were training usually Monday to Thursdays and Saturdays, and it was pretty cool. Sometimes one of my friends' parents were picking us up, or sometimes we take the train. Sometimes after training, we go and share some meals at, I don't know, McDonald's. We didn't have a lot of money, so it was funny. We just share whatever we can buy, and we have a lot of stories after we start going out like friends and try to meet girls and drinking in here, but basically we were training all the time, and my coach kind of became some sort of um, father figure, I would say, not just for me, but for all of us. And to be honest, I think that's something that in these days uh, teenagers are missing. And most of the times, I don't think teenagers need lectures. I mean, I can see it since, now me acting as parent, with the kids at home. When I try to talk to them, I can see most of the time they dismiss what I say, and then whatever I say is just like, oh, whatever, and they just want to listen to mom, and whatever I say, I'm never right, and they know better. But on the other hand, sometimes they need to choose what to do, and they don't need lectures. They just need maybe an environment, like a place they can do something that they like and basically learn stuff. And one of the things that I think kids should learn is discipline, a lot of discipline. For example, doing things that you don't like just because you have to do it. For example, in karate, I like a lot of things, right? But you have to endure the pain, and some of the things that you didn't like. For example, there's like traveling there, or for example, katas or coral forms. You didn't like them, but sometimes you have to do them, learn and kind of you go to the pain. I was more into the sparring part, and that was what we were doing all the time. And, and that was pretty fun. So I wish I could try to maybe, good idea. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. I'm trying to bring my girls to a maybe Brazilian Jiu Jitsu gym, dojo. It's not a gym. Or at the judo. There's a very nice judo place nearby. I have heard a lot. Maybe I should go. And talking about karate, I just came for my yearly trip to snowboarding to Japan. Was pretty fun. And one of the interesting thing about, let's say, snowboarding and few other things is like it takes a huge amount of effort just to learn enough of snowboarding to make yourself average or even below average. So it's the amount of effort that you need, that you put on it, and you just become below average. Similar like in, I don't know, Olympic weightlifting for people who do CrossFit, maybe martial arts also. It depends what schools, in these days, you can find a lot of guys calling themselves masters and whatnot. I don't know. I maybe that's a topic for another podcast about martial arts. But yeah, we went there for a few days, about 8, 9 days. We actually snowboarded for 6, and it was great. It was great. I mean, I have been few times with them already, and this thing of snowboarding teach you what I have been learning from martial arts, from CrossFit, from going to the gym, like a gym bro. You do bench press, how many repetitions, right? You have to do 1 and 2 and 3, and you do small tweaks in your technique, and you bench press in one angle or the other. In snowboarding is the same. The repetition of applying the technique, going 1, 2, 3, 4 times, practicing how to stand, how to fall, how to go on your toes, how to go on your hillside, and just being a beginner and everything that you learn is people use humbling. The word is humbling, yeah, but it's fun. So and it's a very good it's a very good metaphor, the snowboarding, because you fall and you just have to stand again and do it again. And sometimes you have to have some balls to just point your snowboard down and go down the hill. No be like the just going on your heels, to go all the time down on your heels. Don't be that person. You need to point it down and start riding. You have to choose an edge. Don't catch an edge. It will happen. So be prepared. Have some gear that you can protect your wrist, your bottom. But yeah, it's a very good metaphor about if you fall 10 times, you stand up 10 times and you learn it. And you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again. And at the end, it's a That's how life is, including martial arts. I guess for me, I would say that's I'm quite resilient after my many years of karate. That, by the way, I should be getting my third dan soon. I have been postponed for years. Hmm. Anyway, coming back to the my friend who didn't listen to my podcast ever. He started to do karate again. For some reason, he stopped. He's a he's a good guy. Sometimes I think he's lost, and I have talked to him. He doesn't like it when I say it, or that it seems to me that he's lost. But anyway, he was the one who mentioned that random is boring. But I think maybe he might lack some perspective, because if I talk about topics about, I don't know, about life, for example, with one of my friends, we talk about, I don't know, the last time that he went out clubbing and how does he feel and why he doesn't drink anymore. That's kind of random. Um, but for some reason, he said that he would not like that, and then he talks about the setup, that it should be perfect, the light coming out of the window or the reflection that you have, and the voice, the microphone. So if you don't do it like this, he said, don't do it. Then I have my ideas on this. I don't think it should be perfect, but you just need to start going. Same with the podcast, and maybe you have some interesting people to talk to. Like, that's Joe Rogan secret. Since a long time ago, he has been bringing very interesting people to talk, and they just talk about their stuff. I saw, for example, now Michael J. White. I saw a couple of Hollywood directors like Mel Gibson, very interesting. One very interesting also was the singer Jewel, very nice podcast. I have seen a couple of times where he bring Elon Musk. Of course, Elon Musk always super interesting. Even with President Donald Trump, interesting. So like he brings interesting people, and he's a very very good interviewer, I would say. So why not try to emulate? Maybe I should do that. You know what I mean? And my idea was to do this podcast maybe every week. But since I went traveling and then I have a work as an engineer, maybe we should talk about that as well. So many topics. So then maybe I would try to commit to do it every week or minimum every 2 weeks. Not that you guys miss me, but who knows, right? Because as always, consistency is the key. One of my podcasts is called like that. I don't know if it's in YouTube, but for sure it's in Spotify. I need to figure out how to upload this back to Spotify. Some technical issues here and there. But anyway, yeah, I'm very happy to be back from my snowboarding trip. If you guys have any advice on how the parenting part could work, maybe I will talk about this one. Next podcast, we talk about parenting. We talk about a little bit of martial arts and basically about consistency and random topics. The criticism from Juan Carlos about random topics, I can get what he means, right? Because you go all over the place. But some people don't care about martial arts. So if I talk about martial arts, for you will be random, right? But yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do it like that, and maybe I can see you guys soon. I wanted to say something before closing. Oh yeah, I remember now. There's one of the things that I found very a little bit annoying, and I can have tried to say to people. Some people we make fun of it. Sometimes I say people when some people have a certain allergies or they say I know I cannot eat that because it doesn't fit my stomach anymore, whatever. I just call them weak, right? Oh, you're so weak. But now and then on these times you can see young people like in their 20s or even in their 15s, they make videos in TikTok or even in YouTube that um, they suffer anxiety. Anxiety is the word. And not to talk, downgrade the people who might have some clinical conditions, But when some people, young people, or even 20s or 30s, they talk about anxiety, in my head, it's just like locked in, man. Come on, just put your shit together, face the stuff that you have in your life, and, suck it up and figure it out. Maybe I had a different life and I managed to figure out this anxiety. But when some people, they just have, the excuse that a lot of the things in their happens because they have anxiety and anxiety. I mean, I tell you, if you're a mother of two and you have a very low salary and you have no time for the kids, I mean, I can see the anxiety coming there. But you're 15-year-old, and what anxiety can you have? You're 20-something-year-old. You just put your shit together, man. If someone annoys you and call you name, you just make slap in the face. No, that's that things work when I used to be young back then. So this thing of anxieties give me the bad vibe. How so many people have anxiety and feels triggered and whatnot. Yeah, well, this is a good thing to close. Yeah, um, don't have anxiety.